Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about an emergency hack. Okay, this is only for emergencies. So when you've got a grid down situation, you can't get propane. You've got maybe little heaters this time of year. I have a pretty big following on the Big Buddy style heaters, but they take these little tanks, and sometimes they're completely out of these guys. You just cannot get them, and maybe you haven't got to the hose to be able to hook up to a 20-pound tank. Now, these are in your area. You'll have to find out if this is legal at all. In my area, I'm not allowed to transport them, but I'm allowed to fill them on my property for emergency purposes. And I recommend only doing it in emergencies. So a couple things you're going to need. You're going to need an empty propane tank. You're going to need, I really like these. These are from Coleman. They're a propane tank gauge that tells you whether your tank is full or not. I think they're just kind of a cool feature. Cost you about $10. A pair of forceps. You can get these out of your emergency kits, things like that. And you've got a couple different ways of doing this. So they make a valve you screw directly on. I do not like that valve. I really think that it doesn't work very well. It's hard to get in there. It's hard to get back off. This is the Flame King system. Again, this is for emergency purposes only. They do have this little itty bitty pin, and I'm going to have come in real quick. There's a little black pin, I'm going to try to point it out, right there, that you have to trim off to get it to fit regular propane tanks. So if you've done that, and you've voided the warranty on this item, and I'm sure they're not okay with you using it in this way, but this is for emergency purposes only. I'm not recommending you doing this at home all the time, but only for emergencies. So we're middle of a winter storm, your house is freezing, bad scenario. We're going to go ahead and screw our tank on. We need to make sure our 5-gallon propane tank is upside down, so all the liquid is flowing down. Now, what I really like about this system is it allows it to spin even while tightened up. I'm going to go ahead, there's a couple different ways we can do this. We can either grab with the forceps the blow-off valve on the tank. We can grab and we can pull it and release all the pressure out to get them cold enough to where they'll fill. Or what I do is I stick them in the freezer for 30 minutes. So it doesn't need to be any more than 30 minutes. So I take a freezing cold tank, I put it on there. I really like this system because I can lean it up. It's a lot easier to do it this way. I hate the others. I've had all the other systems. None of them work very well. Once I get it all tight, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn it over, and we're just going to press the valve. You'll hear it run in. Usually takes about anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds for it to equalize pressure. So we're going to kind of let it go here until we hear it stop. Usually once it's equalized, it's got all the fluid it's going to possibly get in there. We don't want to go any over that number because you'll get bulging, and we also don't want to put them out in the sun. They do have a blow-off valve for pressure relief purposes, but we're going to go ahead. I really like this system because I don't have to turn on and off the tank. It really works well. Once I've got it off, I can go ahead and spin it loose. And you will have just a little bit of pressure coming out there. We're going to go ahead and turn on our gauge here, if you guys can see that in the video. We're going to go ahead and put this guy on. When it's flashing, it's ready to test. I hold it down. So I've got a little bit. This tank had only been in the freezer for about 10 minutes. So I'm not quite full. So what I can do, and this is kind of the reason we wanted to show you guys this one, is I can grab the fill valve just until I start smelling gas pretty heavily. I'm going to go ahead and pop that guy back on. Now a lot of the guys do it by just pulling up on the valve, which if you have to, let's say your freezer is out and there's no electricity, we're going to go ahead and top her off one last time. But you can do it by just letting the pressure out and then keep filling up until you're getting, you don't want any gas coming out of there, the actual liquid gas. So that should do it there. Not filling anything else. We're going to go ahead and twist her off. Like I said, I really like this system because it allows you to pull over the side. You don't have to constantly undo it. So let's see if we got any closer here, guys. And there we go. We have a full propane tank. for emergency purposes only. I don't know how many more times I can say that, but that's really important. We want to make sure these tanks are not designed to be refilled, but in an emergency situation, I say you got to do what you got to do to keep yourself alive. This year, during wintertime, when everybody was looking for their big buddy heaters, all the big buddy heaters were out. All the hoses were out. And every single store I went to, including Walmart and everywhere else, was out of these tanks. So that's really kind of a telltale sign to me that you should have a system like this for emergencies. It's not something I recommend doing all the time, but I do recommend saving your tanks at the end of the year. You know, I usually have quite a few of these tanks. I have piled up about 20 or 30 of them that I just save in case of an emergency like this. You can buy these valves that go on top, these little caps. I really do like these brass caps that come with a little rubber container underneath there just to make sure it doesn't leak or anything. I do recommend taking a little Windex and squirting the valve a little bit and make sure you're not getting any bubbles out of either of the valves. That's usually a good sign. If you start to see them bulging or anything like that, time to get rid of them. Not one of the things you want to see. But this tank is right where we want to be. It's great for emergencies. Now we can go ahead and use our big buddy heaters inside the house if you're using one of the ones that is rated for indoors. But as always, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to hit us up. Like and share. There's all kinds of videos on our channel. We're kind of the most schizophrenic channel out there, but we do have a wide variety of different videos. If you have any questions, hit us up, guys. We'll be happy to answer them.